Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is first thank you for having me, and I believe that Kate and I could probably talk about play the entire day. So I'm kind of going to piggyback onto some of what she said and really go into a little bit more of play-based learning in the home. I do have a PowerPoint that I'm going to share, and it will make me smaller, but I think my visuals and the PowerPoint, I'd rather you have the opportunity to look at that while I'm speaking. So let me go ahead and share that. And I will start from the beginning. So as I said, I'm going to go into play-based learning with a brief overview of developmental milestones. A little bit about myself. My name is Naomi Nickson, and I'm a child development specialist. I have worked with children and families for over 10 years with varying abilities, and my business is Connect Child Parent Enrichment. So first, using play to enhance development. As Kate was talking about, play provides an easy way to engage with children. It encourages overall developmental growth, but what's also very special about play is that it allows us to target more specific areas of development that our children might need a little bit more explicit instruction on. And the thing about play is that it's natural, and it's a critical part in brain development for children from birth to age 5. So it's happening already in your homes. And I hope what you get from this is just even just one or two ideas of new strategies or new play schemes to introduce with your children to enhance their development. So as I said, I'm going to do very brief developmental milestones, just so we can keep in mind what a child is typically doing around specific ages, and again, how we can use play to help enhance that development. So by 12 months, babies should be pulling themselves up to stand, respond to simple verbal requests. They start to babble with inflection, and they start to imitate words, usually with mama and dada being those first words. And they begin enjoying imitating people in play. They're starting to really explore more, use their hands, they're mouthing things, and they're really watching how other people are interacting and playing. By 2 years, toddlers should begin to run. They start to scribble spontaneously when they're given a crayon or a pen. They start to say several single words and begin using simple phrases. They begin doing make-believe play, and they start to demonstrate an increasing amount of independence around the home. So that's when you kind of start to get to the point where they want to try it on their own first, and they don't want mom or dad to help them. So they're really building those independent skills. By 3 to 4 years of age, a child should kick a ball forward, throw a ball overhand. Those gross motor skills are really coming into. They're beginning to follow 3-part commands, following longer directions. They start to engage in fantasy play, and they start to cooperate with other children more. And they're typically dressing and undressing on their own. By 4 to 5 years of age, a child should hop, somersault, swing, and climb. So again, as we're talking about play skills, keep in mind that these are skills that are developing around this age. And so these are the type of activities they're going to be more interested in doing. They're usually caring for their own toileting needs, speaking in sentences of more than 5 words, starting to count 10 or more objects with one-to-one correspondence. And they're really creating special friendships and wanting to please their friends. So again, I know that's very quick and brief overview of some developmental milestones, but I think it's good just to keep in mind as we talk about play, think about where your child is at and what you've seen them doing, and kind of how we can use play to enhance that development. So what is play-based learning? It is based on children's individual interests and developmental levels. It is child-centered. It's natural. It's implemented using people, objects, and materials that are easily found in the home. And it's focused on social emotional learning, developing confidence, and building cognitive skills. What play-based learning is not is one size fits all. And it's not done in a right or a wrong way. And it's not meant to overwhelm or stress. Play-based learning is simply as it states, it's learning through play, and our little ones already want to play. They already are engaging with toys and materials, and it's kind of up to us as the adult to get down on their level and really start to make those play schemes and those strategies more beneficial to them and their development. Especially, as I said, if you already know that your child has some delays in specific areas, that you're able to target those areas together through play. So something I really want to focus on, given everything that we have been through over the past 3 months, everybody's schedules and routines being thrown off, is the emphasis on quality versus quantity of play. I really emphasize this with the families that I work with because I know that everybody is going through a lot right now. And I want you to know that the quality of play with your child is far more important than the quantity. Quality play is truly being attentive, actively engaging and participating with your child, putting the phone down, giving them that one-on-one attention. And that is always going to be more important than the quantity or the amount of time that you play. So I typically give the example of, 30 minutes of more chaotic play where you're also responding to emails, you're trying to cook dinner, and you're just not giving your child that interaction, is less important than just 10 minutes of quality play where you don't have the phone, you're not trying to multitask, and you're really engaging with your child. That 10 minutes is enough. So as I say here, bottom line, when playing with your child, it really just takes a little bit of time to make a lasting impact and to make it beneficial. So please keep that in mind. And again, play-based learning is not meant to overwhelm you. There's not a right way or a wrong way. It's truly, your children best, and we just roll with where they're at and what skills that they're already working on. So did you know that a newborn has all of their brain cells that they will have for the rest of their life when they're born? But what really makes the brain work are the connections or the synapses. So a little one, between the age of birth and 5, those connections are building rapidly. This is 1 million new neural connections every second, and that's far more than any other time in life. So why is that important? It's important because that's happening during play. During those first few years of life, the brain is at its most flexible, and that's when your child is building all those connections and learning and growing. So they're doing that through touch, talk, sight, and sounds. They're doing that through essentially play. And as the adults, we're able to enhance those experiences for them, to really provide them with the opportunities to build those connections in their brain in a natural and fun way. And really that's just done through play. So I want to talk very briefly about the types of play. We do have, you will see in the field, people talk about different types of play. There are more than these 6 listed, but I'm going to go into these 6 very briefly, because I think it's important to kind of know where your child is at, and to keep in mind that a child will go through all of these stages of play at different times. They might do solitary play one day and cooperative in later on in the same day. They all serve a purpose. So I just want to briefly cover these types of play so you can kind of keep in mind and see where your child is at and how their play skills are. So unoccupied play, the child is exploring the materials around them without any organization. They're simply observing. So that is your unoccupied play, a child just kind of sitting, looking out the window, or just sitting in a room and just taking in what's going on around them. Solitary play is also known as independent play. And with this type of play, the child does use toys and materials, and they're doing that alone. So as this little girl in the photo, she's simply playing with blocks, and she has a giraffe and some animals, and she's just playing on her own and using, it can be a variety of toys and materials. Onlooker play is very important and serves a purpose. So even if you feel like your child is engaging in this, which is watching other kids at play, this is a very important stage, very important part of play. The child may not engage socially. They may engage socially, but they may not join in the actual play that the other child is doing. And even as adults, how do we learn? We learn through observation, we learn through listening, we learn through touching and seeing. So onlooker play definitely serves a purpose, and a little one at this stage would be watching, and there's a chance later they will mimic what they saw somebody else doing or what they saw another child doing. Parallel play, the children usually sit and play next to one another. So they are playing alone, but they're starting to show interest in what the other person is doing. So in this photo, these two little ones are painting. So they're essentially using the same materials, they're doing the same activity. They may or may not start to interact a little bit with each other, but they're still at least alongside each other and engaging in the same activity. So associative play, a child is playing side by side with other children, and they're really beginning to engage with others during play. They're starting to see that play is more of a social concept, that they can enhance their play by talking and doing what others around them are doing. So these three little ones, they're using the same material and one is reaching over the other. So it looks like they're starting to do that associative play where they're building together. They might be making comments toward one another. So they're at that stage. And collaborative play would be typically, you're not going to expect a 1 or 2 year old to engage in collaborative play yet. So this would typically be a little bit older or developmentally a little higher. And this involves sharing, taking turns, and following rules. So the children come and play together to reach a common goal. So an easy example is a board game or playing a sport where there's rules, where they have to follow directions. And, you know, as the adults, we have the opportunities to encourage this type of play, to model this type of play for them so they can build these skills on their own and engage in that collaborative play together. So again, that's very brief what the types of play are, but I think it's important for us to kind of think about where our children are at as we are trying to enhance their play in the home. And again, it's okay to see your child engaging all different types of play. They all serve a purpose. So keep that in mind. So skills enhanced during play. There are 4 areas that I would like to focus on, and that's social emotional skills, communication skills, cognitive skills, and personal responsibility. So I'm going to go into them just very briefly before getting some examples out there so we can really talk about play and how it looks. So social emotional skills would include expressing emotions, listening and attending, taking pride in their accomplishments, asking for help, and showing affection for others. Those are skills that are absolutely being worked on during play with your child. Communication skills. So a child is listening, they're learning to comment, they're answering questions and posing questions. The adult has the opportunity to introduce and practice new vocabulary, and the child has the ability to mimic that vocabulary. A child is working on friendliness, confidence, and respect, all during play, especially through dramatic play or any type of one-on-one play with an adult or with other children and the adult facilitating. Cognitive skills. So cognitive is, you know, essentially those academic skills. Joint attention is a very important skill for little ones. Might be a term that you've heard before, and it essentially just means a child acknowledges that they're looking at a toy, and then they look up at you and they see that you're also looking at the same toy. So they have that joint attention with somebody else. Play also works on memory, sorting skills, categorizing. You can work on shapes and colors and letters and numbers. You can work on logic and reasoning, all through play, all in a natural way where, you know, while you're doing it, you don't necessarily know that that's what you're working on. But believe me, you are, and it's very natural for most parents, and I know that you're already doing these things. It's nice to point it out so that we think, you know, it's never just play. It's so much more than play. And the last section is personal responsibility. So teamwork, taking turns, sharing materials, cleaning up, accepting failures, resilience, learning to try again, and that their actions have consequences. All of these personal responsibility skills can show themselves during play with adults or with other children. So something I like to really emphasize with the families that I work with are these 2 words, and To keep in mind while you're playing, what I suggest is expanding and enhancing play. So expanding is following your child's lead and just taking it one step further. So if your child is sitting there playing with blocks and they're just stacking them, you come in and you take it one step further. Mommy or daddy is going to come in and I would like to make a building too. I'm going to make mine really tall. Can you make yours just as tall as mine? You just take what they're doing and what their interest is and just take it a little bit further. And then enhance is in the similar way. And what I focus on with enhance is adding to the quality of the play through modeling. So again, going back to that onlooker type of play, when a little one sees us sitting down on the floor and playing and doing things with them, we have the ability to enhance the quality of that play by modeling new ways of play, new play schemes, by modeling vocabulary and anything else that comes along with play while we're down on the floor playing. So I always try and emphasize these two things, expand and enhance. So what I'd like to do is typically when I would talk about play-based learning in a setting with families in person, I will have these materials out on the table when parents walk in. And I love to see how, as adults, we interact with these toys. So it's funny to see how one person might sit and use the magnet tiles in a certain way and notice that the person next to them is using them in a completely different way. And that's the fun with play. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. And we're all always learning and developing new play schemes and new strategies ourselves. And we can always learn from observing other adults and from watching our children even and seeing all these creative and new ways that they're using toys. So these are just some examples, and I want to go into a little bit more detail about each of them so we can really talk about what the play is enhancing specifically. So with Legos, I just came up with this list myself. This is not all inclusive. Legos can work on a variety of things. I just have here listed shapes, colors, counting, size, sorting, fine motor skills, of course, hand-eye coordination, weighting, taking turns, categorizing, cooperative building, and vocabulary. So what do I mean by that? Some examples. These are some terms, some phrases or comments that I would say while I was playing with Legos. Can you build a tower with only red Legos? How many Legos do you have? I see you built a tower. I will add another tower next to yours. I'm gonna find all the big Legos. Can you find the big Legos too? So simple comments and simple phrases from the adult is already doing those two things that are important, expanding and enhancing that play. And again, it's natural. And I know some of our kids might perseverate on certain toys and certain actions, and that's okay because that goes into the modeling. We're able to model for them and with them. So Play-doh. Play-doh is a fun one to watch adults play with. As we know, it's very sensory to use Play-doh. You can work on size and shape, colors, length, imaginative play, social skills, vocabulary, hand-eye coordination, and fine motor skills. So what might that look like? Some examples would be the adult kind of facilitating in a way by saying, what color Play-doh would you like? Show me, point it out. Can you roll it into a ball like this? Wow, you smushed it very flat. I made a round circle with my Play-doh. May I borrow the dog stencil? So Play-doh is so much fun, and this little one in the picture, so you can see he has one color, so of course you talk about color, but all of the tools and the equipment that can come along with Play-doh really enhances that imaginative play, and again allows the adult to just follow their child's lead and expand and enhance in whatever seems appropriate and whatever comes to mind for you. So toy cars or trains or anything similar. Again, this list is just something I came up with, and it is not all encompassing. You might have many other ideas of what toy cars can enhance. I have colors, shapes, sizes, using words like fast and slow, talking about prepositions, over the bridge, under the bridge, next to the truck, vocabulary words, of course, imaginative play, sorting and categorizing, making predictions, whose car might be faster, cooperative play, and turn taking. So as I said, some of our kids perseverate on certain toys, and if you notice your child just likes to kind of take the car and go back and forth, that's okay. What you can do is talk about the wheels on the car, or you can pose questions encouraging the expansion of play. Things like, let's race. Which car do you think is faster? What color cars do you see? I counted 4 yellow cars. Do you see any other yellow like this? Or things like, let's make them go fast, now slow. So you're really just opening up a dialogue and having fun and interacting with your child. And again, you're just following their lead and using the materials that you already have. So you might have a little thing like this. You might have the winding garage. With cars and trains, the possibilities are endless, and you can just, again, use what you have. And the last section is dress up. So dress up is wonderful. It encourages imaginative play, social skills, fine and gross motor skills, personal social skills, self-care, language, vocabulary, building confidence, and cooperative play. I love dress up play because for most little ones, it comes natural, because what do they mimic? They mimic what they see. So one of the first play schemes you'll see with dramatic play or dress up is, I'll be the mommy or the daddy, you be the baby, or you can be the dog and I'll be the cat, because that's what they're seeing. That's what they're around. So as an adult, when we can get down on the floor and we can interact with them, we can, expand and enhance that play by saying, if there's a fire, who should I call? Of course, if they have, a firefighter's uniform. What are all those tools that you have? I see you're cooking in the kitchen. I would love pizza. You're great at playing daddy. I'm gonna stir all the food together like this. Can you help? What else can you cook in the kitchen? And I love this picture because dramatic play, I mean, the possibilities again are endless, but that this little one, she's got a baby stroller and she's on the phone. The other girls might be cooking in the background. So, again, using the materials that you have and really just going with it and having fun. And look at all of these areas that you're working on that you might not even realize that you're working on. So I want to finish up with using old toys in new ways, because like I said, play-based learning is meant to be fun, and it's not meant to be stressful, and there's no wrong way to do it. You do not have to buy all the newest toys or the latest technology or anything like that. You simply, use the toys and materials you already have and introduce new ways for your child to interact with them. And that's when it comes in with that quality of play, when you're really sitting down and thinking to yourself, okay, he's, doing this with this toy all the time. What else can I show him? What other way can I encourage him to play with this toy? And again, you're still following your child's lead, but you're modeling for them. And remember to be present, to have fun, and to remember that, again, it's that quality of play. It's not necessarily the quantity. Of course, free play and solitary play and all of that play is important. When I talk about play-based learning, we're really talking about that interaction between you and your children, or your children with each other or with their grandparents, and how important it is to do that together. So I will stop sharing my screen so I can see everybody and answer any questions that anybody might have. Okay. Okay, so what do you do if your child refuses to share when playing with other children? Any suggestions of play with nonverbal children? So if your child refuses to share, my suggestion would be simply continue modeling for them, continue praising anybody else that is sharing around them if they have other siblings. I love how so-and-so shared the toys with me. Could you share your toys with somebody else? And again, as an adult, if they continue seeing us to model these skills, sometimes they go through a little phase where they just, it's me, mine, my things, and that's okay. You work around it, and you explain it to them verbally, and you talk about it, and again, you provide that positive praise when you do see it. And any suggestions of play with nonverbal children? So nonverbal the same thing. You're still talking, you're still modeling, they're still listening, they're still taking it in. A lot of the play, again, is following their lead, and it might be things like, show me what you're doing. Show me what color Play-Doh you'd like. Allow them to point, allow them to grab, allow them to use all those nonverbal means to engage. And you as the adult continue modeling the language, modeling the play schemes. And with time, those skills start to emerge in our little ones. Any other questions? Let's see, sometimes my child has trouble doing anything other than their special interests. Yes, sometimes it is difficult when our children have very special interests. That's when we really need to get creative. We really need to, again, model for them and with them. And it's not telling them not to do it the way that they've been doing it. It's simply gently and through modeling, showing them how they can use those materials in a different way and encouraging them to try. And the more that we model it and the more that we engage in it ourselves, the more open they might be to the idea of trying to do different play with the same materials. But I do know that that is, with little ones, with kids that perseverate on certain materials, we just kind of have to get creative, and we have to really acknowledge that that is a special interest of theirs. And we're not trying to get them not to engage with that special interest. We're simply trying to expand and enhance. Let's see, 13-year-old did a lot of pretend play. So an older child who thinks the toys are babyish. And so again, I think to follow your child's lead. So if they are still interested in cars, then yes, continue playing with cars and really try and come up with challenging and different ways to use the toy cars. Again, you're getting creative. Really, I'll ask them to build things to, launch the cars off of, give them boxes and different materials, and encourage them to come up with new ways to build things so that they can use the cars. If you have an older child and they're not encouraged by those toys anymore, that's okay. Look at what they are encouraged by, and again, follow their lead is really what it's about. A child is not going to be engaged if it's not of interest to them. And we want to make sure that while we are modeling and while we're trying to enhance these skills and we're trying to work on certain things, we still need their interest. And so I don't want you to continue modeling and doing the same material and your child just has absolutely no interest. At that point, we have to sit down and think, okay, what else can we try? What would interest them? And again, if they are still kind of interested in cars, then you just have to expand it and take it to the next level. Yes, I can share a little bit more about my coaching. Essentially what I do is I come into the home. Lately it's been virtually, but I sit down with the family and I work on skills like this. We look at your child, we look at your home and see how you have everything set up and if it's conducive for learning. And, it's natural. Play should be natural, but I do realize that our children, when they have delays or disabilities, that play sometimes need to be explicit. And so sometimes we really do need to facilitate play in specific ways so our children are working on those skills. Is it ever too late to encourage creative play? Absolutely not. Creative play is just that. It's everything that you can think to do with any type of material. If your child's not engaged, you make an incredible track, then he gets involved. So again, a very specific type of play is of interest to your child, and that's okay. We have to get creative, and we have to look at what does interest them and see how, you know, a lot of the STEM, the science and technology and engineering, if they're at that age and they still like the cars, you just keep building it and get to those higher skills. My background is I have my master's in early childhood special education, and I'm an infant toddler developmental specialist. And I typically work with children birth to age 8. And I will just pop that up one more time on the screen. And I thank you guys very much.